Well, good afternoon and welcome, or good evening, I should say, and welcome to this week's edition of the Step Up, Make a Difference podcast. It is the first Sunday of the month of October. And Marty, it has kind of felt like October outside this weekend, man. It's been really nice and not been too hot, and the wind's been breezy. Today's a little overcast here in the area where we are, but it has sort of given you the idea that fall is in the air.
It certainly has. It's my favorite time of the year. It's just so many things happen in the weather. You just see God's beauty in the leaves, and of course there's great sports going on at the same time too.
So absolutely,
I feel very good about living in North Georgia too, where there's around, you need to
you've been waking up to some cool temperatures the last few mornings, I'm sure. And also the colors should be starting to pop here pretty soon on all the trees around you up there.
Starting to, it sure is. I am looking forward to this broadcast. And why don't you explain what's happened here, Mike?
Yeah, we will. We're going to have a little bit of an abbreviated version this week. We had planned to have with us Matt Bell, who is now the high school principal at Calvary Christian School in Columbus, and Matt has, 30-something years of experience in education. And of course, he played basketball under the legendary Herbert Green at Columbus State University. I think it was Columbus College, though, when Matt played there. But he played under the legendary Herbert Green, and then he went into education, teaching, coaching, became a principal. He was principal at Hardaway High School. And then he moved up into the central office and became a division chief for quite a while for the Muskogee County School District in Columbus. And I believe he retired from that position. And Jonathan Norton, being the wise man that he is, scooped him up and say, hey, why don't you come work for me? And we need a high school principal at Calvary Christian. And boy, they've got a good one. But Matt was supposed to be with us, but this afternoon, unfortunately, Matt's father had an emergency, and they had to rush him to the hospital, and he was going into emergency surgery. And so Matt had to postpone his appearance with us. And so we would like to ask everybody out there watching this podcast to keep Matt Bell and his family and his father in your prayers during this time, as they had an incident, they had an emergency, and hopefully God's going to lay his hands on that, and Matt's father's going to be okay.
And that's exactly what Matt should have done. It's a priority. Family always comes first. And we will have Matt at a later date because he is just a sensational guy. I know a lot of you know Matt. And he is just, his experience and what he's accomplished in his life speaks for itself. We're overjoyed to have him involved, and we promise you we'll have him back. Probably looks like sometime in November. We are pretty much lined up till mid-November right now. So for those of you who are looking forward to seeing Matt, we'll have him. And
absolutely. We will absolutely not miss the chance to have Matt Bell, because he is a tremendous individual and a lot of experiences to share, a lot of things to talk about. And those of you who are watching us from other areas of the country, if you've picked up on our podcast and started watching, you may not know Matt, but so it'll be great for you to get introduced to Matt and hear some of the experiences he's had as he's been in this game for a while now. So Marty and I decided to come on today and just kind of do an abbreviated show, maybe about 30 minutes here, where we're going to talk about some different things. But first, Marty, we want to thank those who helped to make this show possible. We've got some great sponsorship people who chipped in to help us keep this thing going every week. And why don't you mention some of the folks that have stepped forward to help us out?
I'm honored to do that. And before we thank them, we need to really thank Thrift Behringer and Richard Holdridge.
No doubt.
who gave us this opportunity. Without them, there'd be no Step Up. And they're there supporting. We couldn't ask for better hosts of what they're doing. And I'm sure you're zoned into what they're doing with broadcasting high school sports, making a huge difference in kids' lives, because they know that on Friday night, hey, they're going to be featured, and what the play-by-play is archived. It's just a wonderful thing they're doing, and a lot of other places are trying to do the same thing they're doing here. We're lucky to have these guys in our area. So hats off to Georgia Alabama Sports Live. We wouldn't have the show without those two guys, Richard Aldridge, Thrift Behringer.
That's absolutely right, Marty. I'll just step in right there. I get to work with these guys every week, not just on this show, but on the broadcasting side, and have watched this thing come from its infancy when Thrift was doing games on his phone to expand out. And we've got we call it the Georgia Alabama Sports Live family now. Our family has expanded greatly this year with the amount of people that we have producing and the amount of people we have on the talent side with play-by-play and color commentary. And we've expanded with some things. We've got some more shows on. Not only this podcast is on, but we've got coaches shows. We've got some other podcasts that are on the platform that are running. And this Georgia Alabama Sports Live is the real deal. And it is top quality, absolute best you can get. And we're going to keep growing it. And I feel honored to be a part of it. And I'm glad that our podcast is on this platform.
I feel the same way. I'm just honored to be associated with these guys. And I guess tangentially, DJ Jones, we got to throw him in there because
no doubt.
It's sort of the godfather of high school broadcasting, sports visions, the football banquet's coming up December the 11th. And I think that's going to be at St. Luke's. Is that right?
Yes.
If you haven't signed up for that, that's a great event that he does. So hats off to DJ too. And we have 3 sponsors right now for this program. And the first is Masterwall. And they're a leader in the business of covered walls. If you've ever seen a skyscraper beside the building with a big logo on the top of it, there's probably a good chance they had something to do with that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how else to say it, but when Steve and I talk with him, it kind of soup up walls, you know?
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. And they just look colorful. They look professional. I mean, those guys are the best in the country, and they're a national organization. And we're just proud to have Steve Smithwick and his guys. Their base is right here in Columbus. They employ a lot of people, and I can't say enough about all they do, not just for Step Up, but for young people in sports throughout the community. And if you don't have a copy of Steve's book, you need to get it. It's a heck of a book. Mm-hmm. And so Steve Smithwick. And the second, I would like to thank Ron and Kim Thomas. Ron works at Robinson Grimes. He's been a friend for a long time. I coached both his kids, Ron and Kim, just out of the goodness of their hearts. They donated a sponsorship to us and said, here, let us help you. And they don't want any credit for it, but that's 2 good people right there. Ron and Kim Thomas, they're a part of everything good in Columbus. If you see something good going on, I guarantee you Ron and Kim are supporters of that. And then we have Chick-fil-A, and that is Todd Morgan and Lindsay. They have 2 Chick-fil-A's now in Phoenix City. So if you're going up, what's that, 280 right there? Is that
280, 431. And I tell you, it was a smart business model for Todd to open a second location because if you know anything about that area, Phoenix City, Highway 80 coming into Phoenix City from the Columbus area, coming from the east, it empties into Highway 280, 431, which it runs east and west in Alabama. Really, it kind of runs north and south. 431 runs north and south. 280 runs east and west. But if you're coming from Birmingham and you're coming south and you come through Auburn, 280 runs right through Phoenix City and it joins Highway 431. And then it splits off in South Phoenix City and 431 goes toward the beaches. So it is a huge travel route for people coming to and from the beach, both in Georgia and Alabama. And so Todd's original Chick-fil-A it's called Phoenix City North now, was on the north or west bound side of 280, 431, and gets a ton of traffic. It's busy all the time. But one thing he was missing was that everybody who was coming from Georgia going to the beach didn't really want to turn right and go a couple of miles out of the way to go to Chick-fil-A on their way to the beach. So they would just turn left and go hit 431, and they would not stop at Chick-fil-A until they got to Eufaula, Alabama, on 431 South. So Todd had the great idea and got everything okayed and built a second location of Chick-fil-A on the south part of that route, just about maybe 3-4 miles from his original location. And now he gets the benefit of picking up the beach traffic to and from. And so he's got two great locations. They're both busy. They're both, as most Chick-fil-A's are, even though they're relatively close together. They are both doing extremely well. And it's just a great business idea for him. And I know he's blessed at the business he's getting from both of those. But it's a tremendous boon for Phoenix City to have two Chick-fil-A locations. And Marty, the number one, because I work over there all the time, the number one question I heard is, why are they building another Chick-fil-A in Phoenix City? Well, if you get a little insight and you think about it, it was really a brilliant move to build another one in the location that he did.
Yes. Well, Todd's a great businessman. And we appreciate these three sponsors. We wouldn't be able to do this without them. And, our audience started off with just a handful of people, and now we're up in the thousands. And it seems to be growing every week in spite of you and me being on this thing.
No doubt.
So it's got to be the message and not the messengers. So we appreciate that. And listen, if anybody's out there in the audience and you would like to be a sponsor, we could use it.
We sure could.
Mike and I we don't make any money off this. Everything goes to airtime and helping people. Everything we get in our nonprofit goes to helping somebody else. We don't do anything with the money ourselves. Don't go in our pocket. But my email is marty.durden21@gmail.com. marty.durden21@gmail.com. So please, hey, send me an email. We'll tell you how that can be done. It costs $1,000. Your business will be mentioned on everything we do for a year. And this broadcast is not all we do. I go speak on campuses to coaches and different groups, religious groups, schools, coaching groups, and I always mention our sponsors because we couldn't do anything without our sponsors. So if you want to help, it's tax deductible, and marty.durden21@gmail.com, and we'll be glad to include you in this. It's a wonderful thing we're doing, making a big difference.
Absolutely. And we are so appreciative of all of those folks that we've just mentioned: Master Wall, Chick-fil-A, the Thomases, and Thrift and Richard and Georgia Alabama Sports Live, and DJ Jones with Sports Visions, who sort of helped to birth Georgia Alabama Sports Live. And we're just glad to be a part of it and glad to be able to bring you some great content. And we've got some great guests coming up. We'll talk a little bit about that. That's one thing we want to do, talk about some of the people we've got coming up on our podcast. But we also want to let you know, just in case you're not aware, and if we haven't mentioned it enough, we are now on social media. And we have an Instagram page. Marty, what else do we have? Do we have a Facebook page for Step Up?
We do. We have a Facebook page for Step Up, and we also have a YouTube channel. It's called Coaching to a Higher Standard. And on that social media platform, we have coaches who give tips and advice on servant leadership coaching. Mike Peacock's has the most viewed video we have. Did you know that, Mike?
I did not know that. That's
Yes.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, you get a lot of hits on that. I think it must be old girlfriends tuning in. I'm not sure, but we have a lot of different coaches who give advice, some of the best in the world, and that's one of the things we do. We also have CoachTube. CoachTube is a free service. If you go to CoachTube and you put in there "More Than Winning" is the name of that. More Than Winning. There's actually some. I think 5 courses that are free for coaches to help teach about how to motivate players with servant leadership. Last time I looked, we had, gee whiz, I think something like 10,000 hits. So a lot of coaches are tuning in to that CoachTube More Than Winning, and that's a great platform. We also have a book we've written, a curriculum on a higher standard. Coaching to a higher standard, and some schools in our area use that book to teach character. It's a character program. It's faith-based. I would say this: it's not so heavily faith-based that if you're not a faith-based organization, you couldn't use it. It's a common sense rules, but it talks about sports and how servant leadership overlaps, how to motivate players, and how coaches should be the right kind of character figure and father figure expertise, all those things that are that coaches need to be doing today. It's all in that curriculum, and that's free. You just tell us, we'll get it to you. But we have a lot of coaches who use it, a lot of schools who use that, and that's growing every day. We get a lot of requests on that, by the way.
Yeah, and that's something, I don't know what the rules are in a lot of organizations, but I do know that teachers and coaches are required to do some continuing education things. And some of those things on CoachTube might qualify if you take those to your principal or your superintendent and tell him that you are taking these courses on CoachTube for a higher standard. Then you might be able to use that as some of your continuing education hours and keep yourself certified, keep your certification where it needs to be. So that's something to check on with that for you guys who are coaches and needing to figure out some things. And you may not have time to go to a clinic or something like that. And you can do this online, and you can do it in the privacy of your home, and you can get something out of it, because I can assure you that my partner there has done a great job of putting these together and getting them out there for coaches to use. So take advantage of those.
Yes, and we have a website which is called Higher Standard of Leadership.com. www.higherstandardofleadership.com, and that'll get you to our website. Explains a lot of those things, and there's a course on there that's been approved by the Association of Christian Schools International. They're one organization. They certified this course so a teacher could go in there, and it's an 8-week course, and I think you get 8 or 9 CEUs. I can't remember how many that is, and I'm not even sure the price on it, but it's something around $49, I think. And you could pick up a lot of hours by just watching that course. It's a Canvas course, and it's right there on the website. And so if you want to do that, I mean, we're just trying to help people. We will come, Mike or I, we have some other people on our board who would be happy to come to your organization, to your church, to your youth group, to your youth league, in any way there is, and talk about servant leadership and the impact that has, how a servant leadership based coach has a bigger and stronger impact on young people's lives. So all you have to do is call us. And remember, hey, marty.durden21@gmail.com. And we'll be glad to set you up any way we can. We're just here to help.
Absolutely. And as far as Step Up goes, you can find us on Instagram. There is an Instagram page that is solely ours, Step Up, Make a Difference, the podcast. And we also have, Marty, we do have a Step Up, Make a Difference, the podcast Facebook page as well, right?
Yes, we do.
We do. So we have both of those. We're on Facebook and Instagram, and we have we're trying to get ourselves out there. But this will give you an opportunity. The podcast will be linked on those social media pages every week, Instagram and Facebook, and it gives you a chance on both of those platforms to comment. And we are always looking for guests for our future episodes. And we want to expand this podcast outside our little geographic area. And we want to go nationwide if we can. So if we pick up some viewers from outside the area, and you have an idea of coaches that kind of fit our forte of what we are doing. Of course, we are faith-based. We are talking about character and integrity, and we are talking about servant leadership and coaching that goes along with that, building not just great athletes and not just winning ball games, but building young men and women into the type of people that are going to be the right kind of adults. And a lot of those folks that are being coached right now are going to go into coaching and teaching themselves later on. And we want them to be the right kind of leader and have the examples set for them of the type leader they should be. And that's what we're all about with this. And we want this thing to be carried forward. We want to keep paying it forward as we go along. And so if you have ideas for a guest, please shoot that to us in the comments on Facebook and Instagram. And Marty's already given you his email. We're going to we haven't quite finished doing all this yet, but we're going to have unique Step Up the Podcast email addresses sometime pretty soon when we can sit down and take the time to get that set up. But for now, you've got Marty's, and I'll give you mine. Mine is Peacock, MPEACOCK 1191 @gmail.com. So both of us have Gmail addresses. That's Peacock 1191 @gmail.com. And Peacock is like the bird, and you see it there on your screen, the proper spelling and everything. So shoot us an email, comment on our pages, and let us know if you have a guest. And also, if you have a question for us or a topic for us that you would like to hear discussed, you would like to see discussed, if you would like to ask us about previous guests that we've had, shoot us a line and let us know that. Whether you send us an email or whether you comment on our pages, let us know if you have a question or something you would like discussed on one of our podcast episodes, and we'll be happy to get that out there and talk about it a little bit, and see if we can help with anything that you have going on. We're excited. This thing has grown, and we've got a fairly loyal following of people joining us every week. So we want to keep this going and keep it growing, and get more and more people to share this out so others can take advantage of it.
We have really been blessed by this podcast, and everywhere I go, someone brings that subject up. So I think it's making a difference and resonating in the community because the message is just so relevant in a world today where there's so many questions and people are turning to the wrong direction to try to find the answer to those questions. And the answer is just right there in front of our face, and it's always been. And that's that, just like the center verse in the Bible, right? If you go and look at Psalms 118, 118:8, I think it is. It's the center spot in the Bible. It says, better to put your trust in God than to put your trust in man. So the message I'd like to get out today to you with all of the trouble, all the things going on in the world today, trust God, because he's been there all along, and we don't need anything else. That's the answer to every problem we have, every question that we might bring in, just trusting God.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it is, like you said, Marty, it's always been there. And what is fantastic to see is, you and I were fortunate. We were brought up in the church and brought up to from an early age on to know about Jesus Christ and to know about the love of God and to be in the Bible growing up. My dad was a Baptist minister for the entire time he was alive. He was a Baptist minister. So I joke with people that I was in church for 9 months before I was born, every time the doors were open, which is really technically very true. From the time I was conceived, I was in church every time the doors were open. But, it is, I'm fortunate in that way, but there are a lot of people that have not been brought up that way and have not had a whole lot of exposure to that. And more people, it seems like, are searching and finding that truth that you just mentioned, Marty, that trusting God is the way to go. And it's unbelievable what's going on around our country right now. There's just a movement going on. And, of course, there are detractors out there. There are people who don't like it. There are people who are, bad-mouthing the movement and bad-mouthing everything. And, but that's okay. That's been going on since the Garden of Eden, because what did the serpent do with Adam and Eve? He bad-mouthed God, and he misrepresented God, and he deceived Eve into thinking that, God didn't know what he was talking about, and hence the fall of man. And we've had sin in the world ever since then. And, it just, so that's what we're going to fight against that until the final battle is fought and won. And we already know who wins that one, whenever that takes place. So we've got that faith and we've got that assurance, and we're not going to be defeated. So, everybody out there listening to this, hey, you're already on an unbeatable team if you're on Team Jesus. So just remember that. But and Marty, let's look forward a little bit at some of the guests that we've got coming up before we get out of here this afternoon on this shortened version. Let's look at some of the people we have coming up in the next few weeks and sort of give some highlights of who we're going to have.
Oh, well, let's see here. I'm trying to pull that up right now. We have on October the 11th. Let's see, is that right? Is it 11th?
It'd be the 12th.
Caught me by surprise here, brother.
October 12th will be next week's episode.
And I have, for some reason, my calendar's going haywire on me. I know that on the 18th, it looks like we're going to have Charlie Ward, the Heisman Trophy winner. Now, he may have a conflict. He was just named the head coach of Florida A&M basketball coach.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Put it off till the 2nd of November. And we got Bo Sasnet coming up. He's one of our original founders, inspirations for this thing. He is a dear friend, and he lives in Houston, Texas. And I'm telling you, Bo is started a business. He's a Georgia native. He started a business and about energy. Great Christian guy. You will love Bo Sasnet. We got Roger Woods coming up, who was the chaplain for Pat Summitt at University of Tennessee. Mm-hmm. One of the most eloquent speakers. And I met Roger when he was a coach years and years ago. I promise you will love Roger. He may break into a song right in the middle of We've got the quintessential hero of mine, Chip Reese, Dr. Chip Reese, who was a baseball coach at CSU back in the day, retired from CSU here as what was in admissions over there.
He was a dean. Yeah, he was one of the dean of students at CSU, and he was at Kennesaw. He was at CSU. He was at Andrew College for a while. played his college baseball at West Georgia and actually got a chance to play professional baseball. If you know Chip's story, you'll find out he did all of that basically with a birth defect left hand. I believe it's his left hand.
Yeah.
And he was able, this was before Jim Abbott and some of those that you may remember in the major leagues. But Chip went into coaching, was a very successful baseball coach, and then went into the administrative side and worked around a few places, and then ended his career back at Columbus State University as one of the deans, and just did a tremendous job, and is a tremendous person, just a super guy. Excited to have him on here.
And one of the funniest guys that you ever see. I mean, he is extremely humorous. His wit and wisdom would be great. So that's 3 of our guests, or 4 of our guests coming up pretty soon.
And we're going to have Chip back from last Sunday. Folks, let me just plug that right now. If you have not watched last week's episode of this podcast, first of all, shame on you. But second of all, go back and take the time to watch that. Now, you're going to need a little over an hour because it was, and it's worth every second of it. But Chip was awesome, Marty. He's one of the quintessential trainers of athletes in this country. He's based in Atlanta, and gosh, thousands of professional athletes have used his services for training and getting better and stronger and faster. And he's one of the finest Christian people you ever want to talk to. Just a ton of stories. And if you haven't watched that episode, I'm not going to spill the beans too much for the people who haven't watched it, but there are some outstanding stories on there. All of us were in tears. All 3 of us were in tears at some point during that podcast last week, and you'll see why when you watch it. If you haven't, please go back and watch that.
Yeah, it's one of the darndest things I've ever witnessed to, and it caught us totally by surprise. We knew he was going to be a great guest. We had no idea just the impact. And as Chip said, it had an impact on him as well. So just to relive some of those things, I mean, it's unbelievable. And it just seems like my relationship with Chip Smith is just a series of unbelievable coincidences. When I was in college, I think it was my senior year of college, I went to a sort of a combine thing. There was a coach named Hugh Royer who was, at the time, he was the defensive coordinator at Maryland, and I befriended him. He made a great impact on my life. He had a lot of input into my philosophy before I was actually coaching. And Chip came to one of his combines up in North Carolina, and Chip was a junior in high school, and he was an outstanding athlete. Coach Royer loved him as well. And Coach Royer, during that week, was named the head coach at Liberty University. They were starting a football team. He was one of the first, if not the first coach there. So later after that was in the summer, later in the fall, he called me up and said, I'm trying to assemble a coaching staff. When you graduate, would you consider coming up there? I want you to work with me in an unnamed position. I don't know where I want you, but I don't know where I want you. And I said, well, that's good enough for me, Coach. You got me. He said, I gotta take a recruiting trip, and I'll call you when I get back. And probably 2-3 days later, I got called out of class, and my professor said, Marty, I got some news for you. You know, Coach Royer was killed in a plane crash, and never got to coach up there. He started, but never got to really be on staff. And it impacted my life, you know, and Chip was a part of that. Well, go forward 20, 30 years, I kind of kept up with him. I moved to Houston, and I'm out there in our facility, and I'm sort of getting the lay of the land around our football field and our track and our baseball field. And I looked up, and they're building a building right maybe a half mile down the road. So I pull in there because I'm thinking this looks like a gym or something. And there were some fields that they had started laying off right beside the freeway there on 288 going down toward Galveston. And so I went in and started asking some questions. And they said, yeah, these guys is called competitive edge sports. These guys train combine athletes. And I said, you don't know who the owner is, do you? And they said, well, it's a guy named Chip Smith. And it's a guy named Robbie Stewart. Well, I knew Robbie Stewart because he's from Colquitt, Georgia, not far from my home. And my wife played softball with his mother, who was a great athlete. And I said, do you think did he play football at the University of Georgia? And the guy said, I think he did. And I thought, damn, Robbie Stewart, can you believe it? And I said, and Chip Smith, would he have to be from Virginia? He said, yeah, I think he was somehow associated with Liberty University. So there we go. I mean, years and years later, I meet two guys God puts in my path. And I was up there working with those guys for the whole 9 years I was out there. And they're doing athletes, combine training. They let me be a part of that. God just wants, if we start pursuing and following God, if we step up, there's a lot of, it's like, one of my favorite movies is The Outlaw Josie Wales. This is a terrible illustration about that. Everything you can condense to a cowboy movie. He starts out as one guy and then he runs into somebody. He runs into some Indian chief they're trying to kill. Well, that guy goes with him. So he's got one more guy. He goes down the road a little bit and there's this wayward pioneer family there with him and has his troop builds as he goes through the story, And that's kind of the way God is. You start driving your wagon and there'll be other people who want to travel with you. But if you don't take that first step, then nothing happens. And
that's right.
There's no people involved. So stepping up is huge in our lives. It is. It's just amazing. Once you enter that arena, what happens? It's just like when you go out on a football field or step out in a gym and the crowd roars and you see, it's just, that excitement that builds from being in front of people. You know that feeling, Mike. You've done it a million times. You just never know where it's going. And that's the way it is in the Christian life. You enter that arena, that crucible, and you have a clear, defined opponent, and you have some clear objectives that you want to accomplish. And that is what sports ministry is all about. The guys on our team have the same colors. The guys on the other team, they're our opponent. They're not our enemy. They make us better. And those people cheering, it's just like Hebrews 12, right? You're surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses and run that race. And that is what this ministry that we're in right here. And this podcast is just the broadcast of what we're doing. This is what we do. And so that's why I want everybody out there, if God's got something on your heart, and there's this little voice, it may be a whisper, you really have to stop and listen. And now don't get me wrong, God's not going to call you on the phone. You're not going to hear it audibly. But there's a voice that speaks to your inner conscience if you listen. If we listen, God speaks to us. And it may be a whisper. And he's asking us to step up. And there's an opportunity just about every day to step up and make a difference in somebody's life.
Absolutely.
So step up. That's the message.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we're going to go ahead and round this out this week, but don't forget us in the weeks coming up. We're going to have Matt Bell back as soon as we can. We are going to have Chip Smith back for part 2 because we never really got into what we really had intended to talk to Chip about last week. We didn't get to it because God intervened and we had church. We had a little bit of church last week while we were on the podcast with all of the things that we talked about. So, but we're going to get Chip back and we're going to let him kind of tell more of his story of how he got into where he is and those people who influenced him and things like that. We got Matt Bell coming back. We've got the ones that Marty mentioned. Looking forward to those. Charlie Ward's going to be tremendous when he gets on here. I saw a video clip of him yesterday during the Florida State-Miami game of the year that he won the Heisman. and he was phenomenal. And then, everybody thought he was going to be an NFL player, and lo and behold, he goes to the NBA, and he's a star in the NBA with the New York Knicks. And just unbelievable story for Charlie. And we're going to get to have him on this podcast. Who'd have thought we'd have a Heisman Trophy winner, a former NBA player, and all of that, Charlie Ward, on our podcast. But Marty has known his family for a long time and known Charlie since he was a little kid. And so that's a great connection to have, and he's going to join us on here. But and as we said, go to our social media pages, look us up on YouTube, look A Higher Standard up, go to CoachTube and find those things on A Higher Standard, and then use that information, use that material. If you have questions, please ask us. If you want us to come and do something, get in touch with Marty, and we'll get somebody in our fold scheduled to come and speak, talk, sit down with you, consult with your staff, whatever you want to do. But most of all, share this podcast with people, especially young coaches, and especially coaches' families and young athletes, people who are aspiring coaches. Share this with them so that they can have a basis for what's really important in the world of coaching and in the world of guiding young lives. Yes, winning is big, but winning is a byproduct of doing the right things and coaching the right way. And I think you'll find that you can't go out and force wins, but you can go out and teach people the right way to live and model the right way to live and the right way to treat people. And winning just seems to come as an offshoot of that, as a byproduct. You're a winner. You're a winner in the game of life for sure. But let us know if there's any way we can help you. Look us up on social media. Comment on who you think might be a good guest for us, no matter where you are in the country. We're always looking for great people to join us, and we'll call anybody and ask them. All they can do is tell us no. We can move on from that. But we're hoping to get a lot of yeses, and when they see what this is and do it. But as Marty said, every single day that we walk out, that we wake up in the morning, the first thing we should say was, thank you, God, for another day. And then we should say, now help me please go out and use this day to honor you in everything that I do. And then when that opportunity arises, we need to step up and make a difference. Right, Marty?
Amen. And listen, there's one more shout out I want to do. There's a guy named Chance Allshouse that I coached in Texas, and he was just named the Assistant Athletic Director for Development at Georgia Southern University. And Chance Allshouse, congratulations, big guy.
Absolutely.
I'm proud of you. You're going to do a good job. If you're associated with that great university, be sure to tell a big welcome to Chance Allshouse. You're going to love him.
All right. And folks, don't forget, keep Matt Bell and his family in your prayers as they're dealing with a situation that cropped up, and that's why you're not seeing Matt on our podcast today. So keep his family in your prayers, and we'll try to keep you updated on that as we know more about that situation. But thanks for joining us this week. Again, we apologize for not having a guest, but hopefully you've gotten some good information out of the last little bit with Marty and myself. And our contact information is on here, and our social media pages on Facebook and Instagram are there. Leave us messages, send us messages, get in touch with us for anything that you might need. We're here for you. And everybody have a tremendous week. Enjoy this fall weather as it's coming closer and closer to true fall. And we'll see you next week right here on Step Up, Make a Difference, the podcast.